Rico.
Hi, Mariusz.
Hey, Andrea.
So today I have the honor of interviewing two-time Olympian Mariusz Podkoscielny, and we are going to learn about him. He was a fabulous swimmer, world champ, and now he is one of the best coaches in the nation of USA and Poland. And Mariusz, Mariusz is from Poland. So uh, tell me about growing up in Poland and tell me how to say your first and last name or
Ma-
pronounce it.
Mariusz Podkoscielny. So I'm an old timer, born in 68. So I actually grew up in Poland during the communist times, came to US in 86. So towards the end of communism. But, I think that people often ask, uh, you know, uh, kind of suggestively that, how terrible was it? Growing up in Poland, Um, as a kid, I was not aware of all the bad things that were happening. I was loved by my family, had a good childhood, had food on my plate, so it wasn't much different from growing up here, except we didn't have all the things that people here had. However, we also didn't know you can have them. So I didn't, what you don't know doesn't hurt you.
Exactly. Now, when did you come to America to train?
I came in 1986. I was 18 years old. And long story short, there was an organization in California that was formed by Polish community in Southern California to welcome Polish Olympians for '84 Olympics.
Wow.
But when the '84 Olympics for uh, um, communist countries didn't happen because Soviet Union boycotted Olympics, they kind of decided to put their energy and look around and see where they can, play the middle person to help some of the athletes come and train in U.S. And that's how swimming got on the map, so to speak, on a radar, because Mission Viejo was world famous at that time, for its training, and they started the Polish Swimming Federation started to send swimmers there. And I was in a second group that got there in '86. Then I came back in '87 to train for '88 Olympics. And then after that, technically, I went to college, so I would still represent Poland, but I started technically living in the United States. And then after graduating, just stay around and got a job, started coaching.
Fantastic. Now, you are a two-time Olympian. So tell
Mhm.
me more about that. Tell me about your first Olympic experience. What was
So
it like?
yeah, so it's. I think everybody has a dream deep down. I want to make it to the highest stage for our sport. But the dream was never a close enough dream to be a reality until 1987, after 1 year in Mission Viejo. When
Nice.
I came in, to train, and I was one of the best swimmers in Poland, but that didn't mean anything. I wasn't ranked top 100 in the world in anything or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came to United States in October 1986, started training with Terry Stoddard in Mission Viejo, and within a year, I was ranked in the top 10 in the world in two events. Top 15, maybe not top 10, top 15 in the world.
Amazing.
And I improved tremendously. In March of 1987, I went to U.S. Nationals in Boca Raton in Mission Bay and won three events. So the world was spinning because everything happened really quickly. From no name, I became a notable swimmer on the arena here. Then I went over the summer. I went to European Championships and finished fifth at European Championships twice in two different events in a 400 freestyle in a mile. Not even ever qualifying before to go to any kind of international meet, other than like a
Oh,
local small, junior level meets in Poland. So this was quite a lot to digest. But when I came in after the summer in Europe, I came back in '87 in the fall. Um, that's probably the first time I came back with that clear vision. I want to go to Olympics. That's when you could see it, you could smell it, and I was probably visualizing that might happen.
that's
And
fantastic. And swimmers do visualize, and we can hit marks such as times, goals.
mhm.
And I know from my experience, this is how we met. I swam for Mission Viejo for a summer, and I remember coming there out of shape. And I remember them saying after about 10, 11 weeks, I qualified for junior nationals. I finaled there in events I never thought I would final in. And they were like, Evangelist stayed, da da da. So I understand the Mission Viejo, how they were quite a team. There were Olympians on the team that you were training with, and it was quite inspiring.
Mhm.
So that's fantastic, Mariusz. And you're a long distance swimmer. So 400 to 800.
800, although 800 at that time was not an Olympic event. So for us, the
Oh,
only
okay.
options was 400 or a mile.
Okay. And which did you prefer?
I preferred racing in season 400. I prefer racing shaved and rested in the mile. It just the mile
Okay.
was always very painful in the middle of hard training.
I can't imagine racing that event, but you are very brave. And so when you had Terry Stoddard as a coach, and
Mhm.
clearly you had a good relationship with him, and the
Still
chemistry
do,
was.
by the way. We still talk often.
Oh, good. Okay. And I swam under him as well, and I did very well. Um so he must have like ingrained some kind of belief in you, or with that kind of chemistry. You obviously you had this dream and you had this confidence and you worked together. And how did that feel?
So Terry was probably the X factor in my success because he knew how to get the most out of me. The training that he provided me, I've never trained that way, never trained at that level, that kind of intensity, and he made me believe that I can do that. Uh, the one of the things that was also very helpful in me being able to get more out of my body was the fact that success in US and a success especially in Mission Viejo was welcomed, um, was something that people appreciated and uh, looked up to you if you achieve success. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and this was growing up in Poland. It wasn't always like that. There was also always a lot of jealousy. If somebody did better than somebody else, especially with the older swimmers,
Really?
did not necessarily appreciate younger swimmers coming up too hard. So uh, being free of that and being in an environment when success is promoted, appreciated, embraced. I like the way it made me feel. And I think that opened up another level of what I could do and tolerate, the kind of training that we did, what it was. 1980s and 90s in swimming was a different world than it is today. Training was gruesome. Not too many people would want to embrace the kind of training today.
Really? 'Kay, I know now that built your confidence. Now I know the training was really gruesome, and but it worked.
You worked, yeah.
Now, so explain how it's different than say how you would train today.
So, training then was very much volume oriented. Um, we didn't understand connections, swimming physiology, all the things that we understand now, psychology of sport, nutrition. It was still at the very early stages. So it was, jokingly, it was a survival of the fittest. You got thrown in a big group and did the sets that were scary on paper and even worse once you start doing them.
Yes.
And if you could do it, you would become successful. Pretty much that's how it worked. I mean, you had to have a certain level of talent, but it was the time where it is true today as well, but it favors people that are willing to work hard, and
Yes.
I think that especially in 1980s, the training was shifted a lot more towards volume. Nowadays, people swim less, more detail oriented, more technique. Dry land is completely different. As a distance swimmer, the belief was we don't need to do weights. We did very little dryland weights. We did mainly swimming and pulling as far as the in the water strengthening. But today, swimmers are bigger, stronger, which was not the case. I mean, even if you look at the sprinters of the 1980s and 90s, they did not have big muscular bodies, and nowadays people do. That was I guess that was a kind of that type of body will never work mentality in the 80s. So even sprinters look a lot skinnier than they do now. So a lot has changed, and the sport evolved, and that's why I mean, you look at the world records and the times people go nowadays. There, where's the limit? It just keeps getting faster and faster.
Definitely. So now, with that said, the techniques have also changed as well,
Mhm.
several times.
Yes.
So, which makes swimmers nowadays go a lot faster.
So, I mean, the evolution of the sport, there are so many turning points, and I would say the biggest turning point in the last 20 years is what we are doing underwater.
Okay.
David Burkhoff, so I said 20 years because he really started to be emphasized for everybody. But David Burkhoff um, kind of revolutionized that 1988 Olympics when he was breaking world records in a 100 backstroke by swimming 25, 28 meters underwater. Um, Now they limited that to 15 meters, 15 yards nowadays, but that kind of got people thinking. And, then it was scientifically proven that you can swim faster when you're underwater than you do above the water. So knowing that, the technique went through variation of stages as far as how to be most efficient in underwater. But when you look at uh, Olympics and you look at pretty much any event. Now, breaststroke obviously is limited by one pull out, but
Hmm.
all other strokes, everybody, unless you're maximizing every single wall going 10, 12, up to 15 meters off the wall, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to have the same kind of success as people that do it. So that's probably the single biggest change. Now, other than that, the technology allows us to measure so many different things and find the most efficient ways of grabbing water, moving your body through the water, underwater filming. There are technologies available to measure your weak and strong points of your pool. So that the stuff that's available today was not available in the 80s or 90s. So we're finding a ways to be more efficient, faster, and find the ways which hand position, body position, and things like that are more efficient. And a lot of it changed, and it's going to continue to change. It's kind of like with with food.
Hmm.
Today they're going to say this is the healthiest food. 10 years from now, they're going to tell you something else is, and something that you thought it
Exactly.
was good is no longer good. So it keeps changing and evolving as we learn more. And the same thing is going to happen to swimming, but it is definitely technique oriented and underwater swimming oriented today.
Wow. So now, you taught, so you taught actually at a college, right?
Yes.
In Florida. And
I coached in a couple of different places. So when I graduated from the University of Arizona, I coached at the University of Arizona as an assistant coach for 4 years. Then I was a head coach at Oregon State for 7. I was a head coach at the University of Miami for 3 years. And then my daughter was born. We moved to Pinecrest, and we've been at Pinecrest for 20 years now.
wow. Now, you said your daughter at some point was the sixth most recruited swimmer in the nation.
Correct.
So tell me about that.
So she's, she started swimming. Her mom and I swam, so she started swimming at a
Mhm.
young age, but was never really interested in anything but blowing bubbles initially, which is fine. Um, and she really got a swimming bug when she was probably 12 years old. She became
Mhm.
competitive and started making a tremendous progress. She was invited first to the zone select camp, then national select
Wow.
camp. Then she was in a junior national team. Then she represented United States. She was actually in Hawaii in 2023 or 22. I can't remember. Maybe 22.
Oh,
Represented
recently.
represented United States at the Pan Pacific Games, Junior Pan Pacific Games. So she's had a kind of a full career. Then she ended up being recruited by all the top schools. Ended up staying close to home, thank God. Um,
Aw.
is at the University of Florida. She's a junior. She made it to NC2As. She was a all SEC team. Doing great at school. So everything is working out the way we would hope for.
No, definitely. You sound like you have a really lovely family,
Thank you.
lovely wife, and that's great that you both are swimmers. So that talent just kind of
Uh,
went to your daughter.
yeah, it helped probably.
Yeah. And then, so you had that college experience coaching, and in a
Mhm.
minute, I'm going to go back to how you felt at those Olympics, if you
Okay,
don't mind.
not at all.
Uh, so now you're coaching, say, what do they call it now? Because there's so many different divisions. Like before, it was just a swim team, and you had a name, and some swim teams were better than the others. And
So
what's
when I was in college, I was coaching in Division One. When I'm at school now, I'm coaching at the prep school, which is like you have what's the biggest one in Hawaii uh,
like Punahou?
exactly, yes, yeah. So
Okay,
it's just like that, and school has a high school team and a club team, which is all part of the school, and that's
got
what
it.
I'm coaching.
Okay. Now, Iolani, I went to Iolani, and that has
Yeah,
the same kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, and now, can we go back to your Olympic, like how you felt at the Olympics?
Um, so head spinning. I got there and I remember the very first day. We checked in Seoul, Korea. We checked in into the Olympic Village. The way you're being treated, and the security and everything else, just like overnight, you realize, wow, this is different world. We go to our first meal, and I remember the first meal, I'm standing next to Carl Lewis. The guy I only saw on TV before. So
Yes.
all those experiences just kind of, shook you up, and then, and then like, wow, it's really happening. And very much humbled, scared, um, but hungry. I think that, people always often ask me, what was the difference between the first and second Olympics. I think first Olympics I was hungry. I was so appreciative to be there. Second Olympics I was a little bit um, not sure of myself, but I I felt like, okay, let's put it this way. First Olympics, I so appreciative that I made it.
Hmm?
Second Olympics, I expected to be there. So
Okay.
it wasn't as big of a deal, and I think that that was the biggest difference. The first Olympics will always be the one that I recall and remember as that fun butterflies in your stomach experience.
Yeah. That's quite an accomplishment, Mariusz. And you went
Thank you.
twice, not
Yes,
just once, twice. Amazing. So
thank you.
congratulations on that. I mean, I Googled you and it came right up. And okay, so and then after that, you continued on with the sport of swimming and coaching. And
Yes.
so clearly you love the sport of swimming.
Coaching happened by accident, actually, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes. So my coaching college was Frank Bush, who was the head coach
Hmm.
at the University of Arizona. And after I finished swimming, after 88 Olympics, I Olympics were late, so I did not start school till January. So I missed a semester.
Got it.
So I did use up all 4 years of my eligibility, but I still had a semester left of school.
Okay.
And they would, school was going to pay for it for me to finish my education. It turned out to be a full year. I just didn't rush, but I could no longer swim for U of A. So I scheduled my classes to be late so I can sleep in. Um, and decided I'm going to be a student, do all the fun things that I was not allowed to do as a swimmer.
Sure.
And that kind of lifestyle lasted for about 3 to 4 weeks. And then I realized that, yes, it is fun, but, it has no purpose. So
Right.
I went back to Frank and I said, Frank, listen, I know when I was swimming, there was always a need for a hand, another set of hands to time or do something to help because coaching stuff wasn't big as they can have now. So Frank told me, absolutely, Mariusz, you can do it. We appreciate your help, but you have to be at every practice. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's not what I wanted to do, but I did it. And so that started in September. And after Christmas break, when the team was coming back, Frank pulled me in the office on the side and said, okay, you're going to be coaching this group. And I said, okay, well, give me practice. He goes, no, you're going to be coaching this group. So he just kind of put all the trust on my shoulders, and I started coaching. And up until that moment, I never thought I would coach. But
Oh, it
yeah,
just
that
kind
was
of
just like a volunteering thing that I wanted to do while I was finishing school. But
and
that pulled me in, and when I graduated from college, Frank hired me right away, and I started coaching at Arizona.
that's fantastic. And at such a young age to have that mindset, even if it was by accident, that's amazing, Mariusz.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You never know what your passion is going to be.
Exactly.
Swimming is different from coaching, and I
Okay.
think when I came to the end of my career, there is a certain level of I've had enough looking at the pool,
Yeah.
but
I
coaching
understand.
coaching gave me a different experience that I never knew before, and never thought I would love, and I did.
That's fantastic. It's so great when you love your job.
Yes.
And that just automatically makes you one of the best and helping other people to really use their talents and to just shape the form of their life as a whole person. And I believe you have a philosophy where you're very positive and you
Thank you.
like to help your swimmers to feel the same. And I would
So
think you go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. So I never, I grew up, as I said, I grew up in with and swam with different coaches. I was fortunate to have great coaches, but I've seen how negativity has been used to try to push people in life, in sports, in school. And I never believed, and never worked for me, and I never believed that that's going to produce results. So all my experiences have always been the ones that I wanted to pass on to swimmers. Had everything to do with trying to move them in a positive way, um, in a direction where they're going to start realizing their dreams, and keep educating them about things if they, veer off the road without overreacting or without trying to become negative. I don't know if it makes sense because you can get angry. People get angry when somebody does something stupid. I consider myself very patient, and I will not give up on anybody. I will help them and keep finding ways to help them regardless of circumstances.
Wow, that is so fantastic. That really is. And I can imagine you're pretty fun too. You're a pretty fun coach.
You know, I find a balance. You can
Oh,
always
you
be
find the
fun,
balance.
yeah,
Yeah.
because kids want to respect you, but finding the balance and being a person that you can tell a joke, you can laugh, you can have a good time, while at the same time executing the game plan and teaching them how to become better version of themselves.
Okay, now that is so fantastic. And I knew that because I read up on you. And you've got quite the resume actually and accolades on Google. So people know who you are. And I have the honor of having you here today. Thank you so much for this interview and helping me out. And we still have a little bit left. I still have
Okay,
a few questions if you're okay with that.
absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about your family. Now, your wife, you met at quite a young age in
Well,
Poland?
met in Poland. Yes, we actually got married in 2001. So when we got married, I was already 33 years old. So this was a little late in the game for me. But the life takes you different places. Um, it takes time for you to find your footing professionally and personally. And for me, 33 was the right time. I found my soulmate, and we've been married for 25 years. Well, this is going to be a 25th year.
That's so cute. And do you find that because she was a swimmer and you were a swimmer that it just works a little better, or is it just the person in general, or?
It starts with a person, but knowing, having somebody that knows what you're going through, and knowing the lifestyle that it requires, it certainly helps. Being in a relationship is about problem solving, and life is going to throw curveballs, um, and multiple levels. Some of them you can't control. Some
Mhm.
of them, you don't see coming, or some of them you don't know how to solve. And the experience keep growing, and with time you figure it out. But the being a swim coach, you're a different animal, because you have weekends, evenings, travel, all the things that the normal 8 to 5 job doesn't
Exactly.
and that
Yeah.
creates, if your partner doesn't understand that, it creates a stressful situation, which adds to all the little things that life throws at you in addition to it.
Yeah. So you like to keep it simple.
Yes.
Simply, I don't know, it's a rough schedule. Coaches have to be there earlier than the swimmers. And what time do you start coaching, Mariusz? In the
um
morning.
so I'm up at 4:50 every day, well, every other day, because we only do Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. I'm at the pool at 5:15.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when does your day end? So you have a little break in between, right?
Well, I'm still at
Sort of.
school. I'm still at school, so it's not. But my typical day ends at 6:30 when I finish practice.
Yeah, that's a long day.
Yeah.
And you have
Last
to be
weekends.
plus weekends.
Yeah.
So are you working today as well?
No, Sundays are off unless we have a swim meet. And today we
Got
don't.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, swimmers work really hard and coaches work harder.
Yeah.
Um, and then, so now you're in Pinecrest, you're happy, you're living your best life. And you have any swimmers on their way to like junior nationals, nationals?
So Julia was the last swimmer that we had on a junior national team. We had quite a few. Pinecrest is a very highly educational institution, and athletics has a role, but athletics is not a primary focus.
Got it.
So, we get lucky every once in a while when we're going to have a very talented swimmer that, can really spread their wings. But for the most part, kids that swim here, that, they make it to junior nationals. We have swimmers on the junior national level. We have a swimmer right now that has a US Open cut. But it's not like when we were in Mission Viejo and we had dozens of those. It has everything to do with the how strict Pinecrest education is and what it requires. It's really hard to find time that it takes to be, a springboard to the next level for swimming.
I understand. I went to a high school like that where Punahou was the school that had everybody going to nationals. It was almost like a mini Mission Viejo, which a friend of
Mhm.
mine, a coach, had turned that place around. Really turned the Punahou club around. At Iolani, I was MVP in ninth grade for all sports because that just kind of tells you,
Yeah.
yeah, it was very intellectually based. So I understand what you're talking about. Now, is there anything you would like to add in today? Anything?
Well, great to see you. It's been God, it's been 40 plus years.
I was 18 when I last saw you, which means you were 20 because you were born in 1968.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a
Crazy.
while.
It's been a while. It's great to see you. Swimming takes you in different places. You get to meet different people. And those all those experiences. I look back and talking to you just made me reflect again on my journey, and it's been fun. And at the end of the day, you just hope that um, as a coach, which is teaching, you will influence in a positive way some people along the way, and taking people to Olympics. I did coach an Olympian, a gold medalist, when I was at Arizona. But as much as this is professionally a highlight of one of the highlights of my career,
Mhm.
I think the real highlights are the victories we never hear about or talk about, the ones that um, that didn't involve going and winning gold medals. But
Right.
breaking through things and helping people figure out their path. And I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to have quite a few of those in my career.
That's so great. No, it sounds like you're doing great. And I'm so appreciative that you did this interview with me. It really helps my channel. You're my first Olympian, first swimmer. And with swimmers, I find the sport of swimming fascinating because we don't get a lot of glory.
Hmm.
Uh, we're not these famous people walking around and getting this attention. But I find that swimming is the best cross training sport
Absolutely.
of any sport.
Of any. And and the lessons or the uh, it helps you create habits and the experiences that you have, and the time management that it requires. All those things are so valuable in life moving forward. And uh, as an athlete and as a swimmer, you go into the world a lot more prepared.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Mariusz, for your time and your energy. And I'm so happy you have this beautiful family and you're
Thank
still
you.
coaching and you still love swimming and you work with kids and, teenagers and whatnot. That must be that you have a great life. So,
Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank you. Great to see you, Andrea. I really appreciate it.
Great to see you, Mariusz. So, talk later.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.